Om Shanti, good morning. So there is a special word Baba is using for Brahma Baba, which is Hasti. And Hasti is something like a celebrity, and it means somebody very important, very significant. So in the translation, we have the word biggest personality, but I think very high level celebrity may be a good word. So this is 1st of February, and the essence, sweet children, the high level celebrity, Hasti, Bari Hasti, top soul out of all the human souls, the highest human soul in the whole cycle is this Brahma. And the Father enters his body, and you must follow him. And the question is, what special virtue of Bab and Dada do you have to imbibe? And that is, the Father is incorporeal and egoless. So in this sense, egoless refers to that though he is a very top person, he is wearing simple clothes, he's in a simple environment, and so there's a big contrast between who he is and the adornments, position, dress, and where he sits, how he sits, very simple. So that is what is meant by egoless. So the Father is incorporeal and egoless, and Dada, although in a corporeal form, is constantly egoless. So their egoless also has this attribute that you're not expecting to be honored and lavished with various different kinds of indications that you are something special. This is what is meant by egoless in this sense. So while being such a very important person, he is in a very simple form, simple dress, simple arrangements. On the one hand, this one is the container of Baba, the body in which Baba comes, the container. Baba, the highest on high, who makes you into diamonds. So diamonds are always placed in a special box to make them look really special. So Baba is making you into these diamonds. And on the other hand, you say that this one is the oldest of all the long boot. A shoe or a boot means a body because it's made of leather, and Brahma Baba's body is old, so it's an old boot, and he's tall, so it's a long boot. So this is the long boot whom the Father enters. Both are present to serve you children. So you children must follow the Father and serve, being egoless in a similar way, egoless in that sense that you do not expect and need to be treated as a VIP. The song is Salutations to Shiva. Om Namo Shivaya. Om Shanti. whose praise did you children hear? All of you children would say that the highest on high is God and that his name is Shiva. It is said, Om Namo Shivaya, salutations to Shiva. And the people of Bharat know this, and they celebrate the birth of Shiva, the birthday of Shiva, Shiv Jayanti. They sing a lot of praise. They describe him in their praise, saying, you are the mother and father. But they are saying it for namesake, because no one in the world knows how he is the mother and father. So they say Om Namo Shivaya, but they don't know him. And they don't know the relationship. And they don't know how he gives the inheritance. This one is a wonderful personality. Shiv Baba is incorporeal. So Shiv Baba cannot act until he takes a body. Shiv Baba is incorporeal, and they sing praise of the incorporeal one. And they say that his place of residence is the highest of all. So there is this prayer where they say, you are the highest, your actions are the highest, your place of residence is the highest. So which place is that? This is the incorporeal world, the soul world. And what is the place of residence of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar? So they dwell in the subtle regions. And then the dwelling place of the world mother is this corporeal world, so Jagat Amba. Everyone knows that the world mother would have to be a resident of this place, Jagat Amba. So Jagat means the world, the human world. So her name, Jagat Amba, the mother of the world, is very good. But who is she? And where did she come from? They do not know anything. From where can they receive an introduction to her? It must definitely be received from a human being, a great human being, who the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, can enter. So this word Hasti. And Hasti also means an elephant, so that is Maharati, the person who is like very glorified among human beings. So the incorporeal souls enter corporeal forms, corporeal hasti. So although animals also have souls, the souls of animals are not praised. And which hasti is remembered? It is incorporeal Shiv Baba. He is the most important, the most greatest celebrity of all. But until he enters the form, the suitable form for this celebrity, he will not do anything. He cannot do any karma action. Until the soul receives a form through whom to play his part, he cannot play his part. So there isn't the praise of just the personality, the hasti, the great celebrity. There is the praise of the celebrity, the form of the celebrity when a soul enters it. So if you think about the hero in a drama, the hero is dressed in a certain way, very good looking, very attractive, very much the focus of attention. So this is the meaning of Hasti. So the Father says, everyone praises me as the purifier, but I need a human body that I can enter. He cannot do anything without a body. So the Father comes and takes a body, but he does not enter a womb. The birthday of Shiva is also remembered, Shiva Jayanti, but they do not know into which body Shiv Baba entered or when he came. So they say Shivaratri, he came in the night, okay, but then they still don't know which body he entered. And they speak of the lucky chariot, Bhagirat. So there are all these legends and myths about all this beginning of the world. And so Baba's referring to these legends. So Bhagirat is the character that they say Shankar entered. So they remember the lucky chariot, and it would definitely be a human personality. Personality means a celebrity. So the celebrity whom the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul enters is a very high being, a very important person. You know that Shiv Baba cannot enter any form other than Brahma. So Brahma, he's giving due regard to Brahma. The Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul comes and creates the human world through Brahma. So Brahma is in the Indian pantheon, he's a deity. So he's the only deity that is shown with a beard and mustache, which means that he's a deity, he becomes a deity during the time of Kali Yuga. And as a result of Shiv Baba entering this body, he becomes the divine person, but he still has a body, human body of the Iron Age, which is indicated by the beard and mustache. So when Bharat becomes very distressed and degraded, the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, enters this one's form and makes you prosperous and elevated. So Shiv Baba cannot do anything without this Bhagirat, this fortunate chariot. So someone is needed. And this is Shiv Baba's form, the great celebrated form of Brahma, which Shiv Baba uses. So if it weren't for this one, Brahma Baba, you would not be able to receive the inheritance from Shiv Baba. So Prajapita Brahma and Trimurti Brahma are remembered. And when they're talking about the Trimurti, Brahma, Vishnu, Shankar, they use the expression Dev, Dev, Mahadev. So Brahma, the deity, Vishnu, the deity, and Shankar, the great deity, where Shankar and Shiva are confused. And so the incorporeal one is called Mahadev, the great deity. So why is the name of Brahma the highest of the three? So they don't say Mahadev for Brahma, but yet Shiv Baba says Brahma is the highest of the three. So Brahma is a real person, and Vishnu is symbolic, and Shankar is symbolic also. So Brahma is here, and Shiv Baba enters into the body of Brahma. Vishnu and Shankar are called deities. So, should Brahma be called a deity? Question. He doesn't start off as a deity, but he does end up as one. And so you can say that Avyakta Brahma actually qualifies as a deity. So Baba says he is Brahma, the father of the people, Prajapita Brahma. A human body is needed. And it is remembered that the world is created through Brahma, the father of the people. So Brahmins would surely be created through the mouth of Brahma. So therefore, this one is such a great celebrity, very important person through whose mouth Brahmins are created. And yet, to look at, he is very ordinary. He's just wearing a white dhoti and kurta, no particular decoration, no big throne, no big crown, none of that. He is such a great person, and yet his way of being is very simple. His way of living is very simple. He is a humble person. He has come and is here to serve you. Look how he sits and teaches you. What are you studying? You would say you are studying Raj Yoga. Now, who is teaching you? The Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. So, little ones, young ones, old ones, mature ones are all studying, all ages, all backgrounds. This is a godly college for changing from human beings, ordinary humans, into deities. That is, to become the masters of the world. So we have come here to study and claim the sovereignty of the world. There were no other civilizations or kingdoms when Lakshmi and Narayan ruled the world. There was just the one land and civilization of Bharat. And look how you are sitting here to reclaim that status once again. You cannot become the masters of the world, and Bharat cannot become Shivalay without you studying this. Shiv Baba is remembered as incorporeal and egoless. How can he show his egolessness unless he enters this great personality, this body of Brahma, very important person? There is much praise of God. He is called Akal Murat, the form of immortality. But that doesn't mean that he brings the dead back to life. You children should have a lot of intoxication that the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, is teaching you. He is teaching you Raj Yoga through Brahma, the father of the people. And no one but Brahma can be called the father of the people. And it isn't that Shiva or Vishnu is the father of the people. Only Brahma is the father of the whole human world. And the father of souls is Shiv Baba. But no one knows the Father. No one knows their own soul either. They do speak of Punya Atma, Pap Atma, the elevated pure souls, the sinful souls. But then they say Shivoham, they say I am Shiva. So this is deception. That is faulty logic. You children know that 5,000 years ago there was peace, purity, and prosperity. The Father says, I have come and I give you all the knowledge. Previously, you didn't know anything, and now you know everything. The biography of the Father can only be told to you by the Father. So how can an incorporeal one have a biography? There can only be a biography when he enters the corporeal body. A soul who doesn't play a role cannot have a biography. It is only when a soul enters a body and takes birth that there can be a biography. Biography means, what does that person do? Those people, that's the authorities of the scriptures, they speak of 8.4 million species. And the Father says, you do not go through 8.4 million births. This is all untrue. The Father himself says, I enter the body of Brahma and I explain to you the essence of the Vedas and Shastras to you. And interesting, in one of the hands of Ravan is the Vedas and Shastras. So these are two different types of scriptures which belong to the Iron Age. So together with that, I teach you Raj Yoga. So in the Vedas and Shastras is where all of this concept of 8.4 million births and all these rituals and the idea of omnipresence and this idea that matter and spirit is all one thing. So together with that, I teach you Raj Yoga, and I explain to you the secrets of the Creator and the beginning, middle, and end of the creation to you. So the people who represent the Vedas and Shastras are the ones who say, we do not know the Creator and the creation. So Baba explains what's the reality in the Vedas and Shastras, and he also gives the knowledge of the Creator and the creation. So since the Rishis and Munis did not know this themselves, how could their descendants know it? So look how this greatest person is sitting here in great simplicity. The Father is the one who makes you into the highest on high diamonds. This one is the container. So Shiv Baba is the great diamond, and Brahma Baba is the container. And of course, that means Paras. So Paras is the third eye, the clear intellect. So whether you call Brahma Baba a chariot or an old shoe, he is the oldest shoe of all. That means he's the soul who took birth at the very beginning of the cycle, so he's the oldest one. When the soul first comes, he is absolutely number one. Shri Narayan would be placed as number one, the top human soul. So in addition, Shri Lakshmi is also number one. So Adam and Eve, Brahma, Saraswati, Lakshmi, Narayan. And they took rebirth. First, there is the Sun dynasty. This is followed by the Moon dynasty. And in this way, there is the calculation of the 84 reincarnations. No one can give you the detailed account of 8.4 million births. And because of saying that the soul takes 8.4 million births, they also calculated that the duration of the cycle must be hundreds of thousands of years. But if it were actually hundreds of thousands of years, then this would be represented by a very large population of Hindus. So if you look at population, how long does it take for the population to grow from 900,000 to this many billions that we have now, 6-7 billion? It takes 5,000 years. So this population of Hindus is less than other populations. So the deity civilization of Bharat has vanished. No one can call himself a deity because deities are people who are complete with all the virtues, and the people are not like that now. At the present time, it is the kingdom of Ravan. It is not the kingdom of Ram. The people of the world do not know the biography of Ram or of Ravan. So there's a confusion between Ram referring to incorporeal God and Ram of the Silver Age, and then Ravan is actually symbolic for the force of negativity, but he is depicted in the Hindu pantheon as an actual deity. As the days go by, the status of Ravan continues to increase, and the world continues to become impure. So Ravan is impurity. Having declined from 16 celestial degrees, there are no degrees remaining. And people do say in their prayers, I have no virtues, I am virtueless, have mercy on me. We were full of virtues, 16 celestial degrees complete. And Bharat was initially called Paristan. So Paristan is the land of beautiful people. And they say this just for the sake of saying it. So they've heard that it is Paristan, but they don't know the world cycle at all. So the Father says, Maya made your intellects degraded. Maya, delusion, illusion, prevents you from thinking straight, logically. Maya being the effect of sense perception. But people have a lot of arrogance. The Father says to you, children, sweet children, remember Ram, Ram in the sense of Shiv Baba, and you will become worthy of being part of the Rosary. After the Rosary of Rudra, there is the Rosary of Vishnu. So Rosary means the gathering of people. So the gathering of Rudra is all the souls, and the Rosary of Vishnu, the souls of the Golden Age, or the 108 top kings of the Golden Age. Then there is a Rosary of devotees, and there is praise of some devotees. This Rosary of Rudra has to be threaded as the Rosary of Vishnu. And that is, all those souls go into the kingdom of Vishnu. So first you become Shiva Baba's children, Brahmins, and then you become deities in the kingdom of Vishnu. So this rosary to that rosary. This knowledge is so elevated. There are two kinds of renunciation. That is the renunciation of Hatha Yoga. They speak of being karma sannyasis, but you cannot renounce action. So in the Gita, it speaks about karma and akarma. And so they interpret akarma being non-action. And so they think that action means business and family activities. So if you go away to the forest, then you're doing non-action, which is pure action. But actually, there's no such thing as non-action. There is akarma in the Golden Age and Silver Age, which means pure karma that's automatically pure because there's no choice involved. There's no temptation, no possibility to do negative action. So as long as you're a human being, you are engaged in action. You cannot be free from action. And those sannyasis, when they sit and perform the pranayama exercises, that is still called karma. So they practice different kinds of hatha yoga, but that is not called raja yoga. So that is called limited renunciation, or the renunciation of hatha yoga. The Dharma of Bharat is purity. And there cannot be any other dharma as pure as that of the deities. Dharma meaning what you are. You do not have to renounce anything there because souls are pure and they have pure bodies. So there they do the akarma. Alloy is gradually mixed into souls as they reincarnate. And as their degrees decrease, the souls become gradually impure. All souls are now iron-aged, and so they are dark. The brightness of the soul is dim. So when souls are pure, they are very bright, they are fair. And now that souls are impure, the bodies are also impure and dark. So there is the expression, the dark and the fair, which refers to Krishna. So Krishna, the dark and the fair, refers to this process of 84 births. So all of you are the ones who were dark and are now becoming fair. At first, Bharat was golden aged, and it is now iron-aged. Bhava is now sitting you on the pyre of knowledge and making you beautiful, fair, bright. If you want liberation and liberation in life, then cancel the bond of vice. So tie a rakhi of purity. So practice celibacy. So this tying of the rakhi refers to the time in the cycle when you became the children of Brahma. No one can come here unless they become a Brahmin. You are the mouth-born creation of Brahma. And Shiva Baba says that people sing praise of me, the incorporeal one. But what can I do until I take a body? So I enter this one at the end of the last of his many births. So this is also a quote from the scriptures. I take this body at the end of the last of his many births. Everyone, that is, all their bodies now have to be destroyed. The establishment takes place through Brahma. So establishment of what? The Iron Age doesn't have to be established. It is the degenerated form of what was established. It is the Golden Age that is established at the time of the Confluence Age. So the Father says, I come at the Confluence Age. And for you Brahmins, this is the Confluence Age. But for everyone else, it is the Iron Age. At this time, everyone is in extreme darkness. And the Father comes and changes extreme darkness into brilliant illumination. You children know that this is something extraordinary. Krishna is a small child. So a small child cannot explain these things. The soul of Krishna is now in a different body with a different name, and this is his last birth. And in this form, he is understanding everything from Shiva Baba. And this is why he is called the dark and the fair one. Acha. To the sweetest, beloved, long lost, and now found children, love, remembrance, and good morning from the mother, the father, Bap Dada, and the spiritual father says Namaste to the spiritual children. The spiritual children say Namaste to the spiritual father. So the essence for Dharna, be egoless and incorporeal, like Bap Dada. That means do not have the trappings of position and honor and all that. Serve everyone. Secondly, tie the Rakhi of purity so that you can have liberation and liberation in life. Sit on the pyre of knowledge. And the blessing, may you become the avyakt angel and bodiless by applying a powerful break and going beyond any gross consciousness. So gross consciousness is a reaction to what's going on. You can put a full stop in a second, even in the midst of a noisy, disturbed atmosphere all around, and go beyond any gross consciousness. When you have fully applied the break, you will be said to be the avyakt angel and bodiless. You need to practice this a lot now because natural calamities can happen suddenly. At that time, do not let your intellect go anywhere. Let it be simply the Father and I. Keep your intellect focused on where you want it to be. And for this, you need the power of accommodation and the power to back up. Then you will be able to go into the flying stage. And the slogan is, continue to enjoy the nourishment of happiness, and your mind and intellect will become powerful. Om Shanti. So now there are the words of Mama, and this is titled God's Elevated Directions as compared with the many other types of directions in the world. Direction means ideologies and concepts. So in the world, there are 3 different types of mat. There is man mat, there is the mat of gurus, and there is the mat of the scriptures. So this is something to think about. So man mat is the prevailing attitudes and ideas which you have taken in, and then you give it out as your ideas, but it's actually ideas that you have been indoctrinated with. And then what the gurus tell and what the scriptures say. So this is something to think about. Man mat, guru mat, and shastra mat. So all of these come from a human source. They don't come from deities, and they also do not come from God. And even when you receive ideas from deities, concepts of life from deities, they're still human beings. But the deities have all the virtues, and they are 16 celestial degrees complete. So they do not need to get any concepts from any gurus or scriptures. They don't need gurus. People adopt gurus because they want to get salvation. So the purpose of Shrimat is to take you to salvation. So those who are in a lower state, and they're not in the state of salvation, not in the golden age and silver age, they're in a degraded state, so they adopt gurus. But in the golden and silver age, there is no state that is away from salvation, so no need to adopt gurus. But the true guru is in fact one God, and he comes at the end of the drama to give sadgati to all souls. So mat and gati are connected. So mat is concepts and ideas which take you, they take you to salvation, or they take you to degradation. So salvation means the golden age. So the others who speak spiritual ideas, they are gurus in name only, because it is not possible for a human being to show the path to liberation or liberation in life to anyone. Deities have also changed from ordinary people into deities, but they do not have a third eye in their forehead, and they don't have 4 arms. People believe that deities are very different from ordinary people, and they are different, but that is because they are 16 celestial degrees complete. They have their light. They were very pure, and the sanskaras are very pure, but they were human beings. They have same human bodies. When human beings have divine virtues, then they're called deities. So we are receiving these directions, these concepts from God, and so we are not following the concepts that come from people, the prevailing social attitudes, nor of the gurus. But we are following the directions of God, Shrimat. So therefore God's directions are very elevated in comparison with the directions, the concepts that people have come up with, or souls. Om Shanti. So normally we hear about Shrimat, Manmat, and Parmat. And so what Mama is talking about is different kinds of Parmat. So Par means other. So anything that comes from people. So one type of thing is the scriptures. So scriptures are written, they're there from old times, and then the gurus give interpretations of the scriptures. And then there are the prevailing social ideas which arise from the traditions and customs. So these are the very influential influences that people are under. And very, very few people have original thought. Mostly the way people think is how they have been indoctrinated, how they've been trained, how they have heard things. And mostly people's education is learning things by heart. You take it in and then you give out what you took in. And you don't really learn how to process ideas or think. But when you come to Gyan, then Baba challenges this. And you will see through the Murlis many different arguments for challenging the ideas that come from gurus, that come from the social customs and attitudes, and that are there in scriptures, in particular the Vedas and Shastras. So Baba spoke about this today. I tell you the essence of the Vedas and Shastras. That is what they really mean, the essence. And as you know, the Vedas and Shastras are in the hands of Ravan, and they were created in the beginning of the Iron Age. There's a question. Baba calls himself Antaryami. And sometimes he says he's not Antaryami. Well, this is to do with this idea that God knows everything. In the Murli yesterday, he made a comparison between Antaryami and Baharyami. And Antaryami is someone who knows things already before they happen. So Shiv Baba knows everything before they happen. He knows the whole cycle all at once. And in that sense, he's Antaryami. Brahma Baba is Baharyami. That means he can see what's going on with you just by looking at you. And in Bhakti, the belief is that God knows what's going on the inside of you. And so you can't hide anything from God. But when he says he is not Antaryami, it is specifically to tell people that they have to be honest with him. And they will say, well, you already know what's going on with me, so I don't have to say it. And so he says, I am not Antaryami to oblige them to be honest with him. So there's a psychological aspect of it. So that's interesting. There's another question. I want to know if Shrimat is the only the only version spoken directly by God. Take out the word version, because you see the word version is used, this word was used by Brother Jagdish, because in Hindi, the word in Hindi to refer to something that was said by God is Mahavakya. So Mahavakya is a word that means the great words. And if you just use the word, it is considered improper to say that God spoke words. He didn't speak words, he spoke Mahavakya. Actually, Mahavakya are words, but they like to use formal language and informal language. So for God, they use formal language, which is like to honor God. And in English, when you use the word version, you mean this version or that version or the other version. So it's more like interpretation. So it's a very misleading word. It's better to just use the word words. So Srimad is the word of God. And Srimad refers to the knowledge of the Gita. So all the holy books are written by lots of different people, and they change from time to time. And that includes the Gita. So when the prophets were speaking, of course, people listened to them, and some people would write down what they said. But the actual holy books are written by not those prophets at all. They didn't write anything, but they are collected ideas, and they are based on existing scriptures, and then they have additions and subtractions added to them. And then there are conferences where the authorities of those religions decide on the holy book, and they write it and decide it, and then that's what the religion works with. And they don't tell people that they do that. And also they put it in a language which is not necessarily the language of the prophet. So, for example, in the Christian Bible, you have the Old Testament and the New Testament. And the Old Testament is very, very similar to the Quran and very similar to the Torah. So these are the Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So they have very, very similar story of the culture. And then what's called in Christianity as the New Testament is the part about Jesus Christ. And so they decided about that. And during the beginning of the Iron Age, there were a lot of different versions of the scriptures that were created. And as time goes by, they get changed by the religious authorities, and translations are changed. So in India, all these books were put into Sanskrit, and that was done in the Iron Age. Before that, they didn't use Sanskrit. And then the Quran is in Arabic, and the Torah is in Hebrew, and then the Bible became put in Latin, and then eventually it came in various different modern languages. And every time you translate it, you change it, because you give an interpretation according to what you think. So this is the thing about scriptures. Baba says, after the seed of awareness, attitude, and vision is then impacted, as per Sunday's Murli, what are the differences between the two as they seem similar to one another? Are the two interchangeable? Is it always attitude and then vision? This is also another issue of translation. So awareness, the word for awareness is smruti. And the word for attitude is vritti. And vritti doesn't actually mean attitude as far as I'm concerned, having checked the word and how it's used in different places. A vritti means perception or perspective. So you have an awareness, and then with your awareness, it gives you a perspective on things. So your awareness is one thing and your perspective is another thing, or your perception. And so it's to do with an interpretation. And a vision is connected with perception and perspective. So awareness, perception, and perspective are very, very close to each other. But in this in scriptural language, you can say vritti, smriti, drishti. And you will see that there is one picture that Brother Jagdish made, which is called The Six Aspects of Consciousness. And Harshabai, if you can find that picture, I know it's in your list of pictures. And this is a really very important picture because it shows about perception and how you respond to sense perception. And it's the one with the film strip. Let's see. I know you have it there. There it is, bottom row, second one, that's it. Okay, so if you can see this picture, it shows you, you have one picture of a man which has got some cogwheels, and so his brain is processing what he is perceiving. And then the other picture of the man, he's got a like a camera in his third eye place. So in the top one of these six aspects of consciousness, you've got smriti, which is called awareness. And there, what the person is seeing is there's a dog. And his awareness about dogs is he might bite. And so this awareness that he might bite creates the next one, your state of mind, sthiti. So you have smruti and then sthiti. So sthiti is sometimes called your stage. So the third one is vritti, right? So your vritti is your perspective. And he is... this is a different one from how it was before, this target. But your perspective is, what are you going to do about this? So then you have drishti. So the way that you're looking at this dog is he all of a sudden has got some really long teeth. And so you're seeing that dog, your perspective on that dog is he is definitely going to bite you. So all of this, it shows you how preconceptions and prejudice work. So he's basically prejudiced against the dog by assuming that he's dangerous. And so this prejudice creates this alarmed state of mind and this attitude that you have to do something defensive against this dog who all of a sudden got some really big teeth that he didn't actually have. And so he decides to the kriti, the action, is he will, shoot first and ask questions later. So that's the karma based on prejudice. And then there's a sanskar. So the sanskar is the impact of this encounter with this supposedly dangerous dog who wasn't actually dangerous, but he beat the dog anyway. So he created a negative karma. And that karma, which was created on the basis of prejudice, alarm, and attitudes based on that, then he gets a dream of being chased by the dog, because if you do something negative, then something equal and opposite will come back to you. So this is quite an interesting description of these 6 states of consciousness, and which gets spoken about quite frequently in the Murlis. So you've got the first one, smriti, the awareness, the second one, sthiti, your stage, and then vritti, your perspective, your attitude, and then drishti is how you look at it, which is your perception, and then kriti is the action, and sanskar is the result of the karma. And also it goes back to the first one, which is you're assuming that dogs are going to bite you. And it's like a loop. And that's why how you break a sanskara is that you change the awareness, which is written here as consciousness, but smriti, awareness. So your awareness is, I'm a soul, I'm immortal, I am invincible, so I don't need to worry about a possible dangerous dog, because it's might be quite a friendly dog. And in that way you become free from prejudice. It's all about prejudice and preconception. Because most people, especially in very traditional societies, everything is based on prejudice and preconception. And it's very rare for people to look at things as they are. They look at things as they assume them to be. In the Murli notes of yesterday, I also mentioned something about that. All different parts of the body, other than the forehead, has the possibility of attraction, sexual attraction, but the forehead is doesn't have that, and doesn't have a history of that. It's like a clear place, and so the soul is said to be there. Yeah, I think that's everything. Okay. So enjoy and have a great day, and think about that you are in direct relationship with the most elevated of all human beings, which is Brahma Baba, who you know, who you are a child of. And so that makes you actually very extraordinary and special. So be very aware of this big contrast. Very, very high, special, extraordinary person that you are. And at the same time, you're not displaying that. You're revealing that, but not displaying it. So you're simple, but you're in your self-respect. But you do not demand to be honored, and you do not have all kinds of showy things to show people what a high position you have. So it's a very big stretch between who you really are and that you're really in disguise. So you keep your simplicity, your humility, but at the same time, you know who you are. There's another question. The mind prejudiced. Prejudice is not really in the mind. I think prejudice is almost like a sanskar, and it influences the mind and the intellect. So the question is this my karma? It's your conditioning. Prejudice is about conditioning. And usually sanskaras are considered to be there according to conditioning. So you can not think of it as your karma, but think of it as your conditioning, which created a sanskara, and then it's up to you whether you act on that or whether the knowledge is strong enough in you to neutralize the prejudices so that you perform karma based on knowledge and not on prejudice. There's another one. The blood-brain barrier doesn't allow waste to enter the brain. Well, that's good. Keep your brain clean, soul clean, body clean, eat pure food in Baba's remembrance, and stay away from waste thoughts, which are trivia, meaningless distractions. Okay, Om Shanti. Let's have a moment of silence.